I was so excited, actually excited to go to the production day this year. Finally going to lose the buzz cut. Whatever you look like on January 15th is what you look like for the entire year. I had to live with a buzz cut the entire year.
Did they use a buzz cut in the production?
They haven't changed it. Give me my hair back, Fox. I got a Sport Clips car. Got to show it off and hurry up before it gets gray.
The following is a production of Dirty Mo Media.
Hey guys, welcome to Action's Detrimental 2025 first episode. Welcome back, friends.
Welcome back.
Hi. Are y'all excited or not? New season.
Yeah, Travis just said when I walked in, he was like, man, you blink and the off-season's over. That was your first NASCAR off-season experience, wasn't it?
No, that was my second year.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
We're in year 3.
But this one just flew by. The offseason was just like done.
Yeah. I tell you, you know what makes things go really fast is riding 5-week bandwagon all the way to the Natties. Y'all see that? Yeah. Shout out to the I think it's a shop where I'm from.
Yep.
Is that where it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, how did
Columbus?
you guys have the T-shirts before the actual team did?
Because when you're a diehard fan like Denny Hamlin, you get supplied beforehand.
What kind of question is that?
That seems like bad juju. You just wear the shirt or bring it underneath.
Well,
There may or may
Hey guys,
not.
let's bring
There,
our own.
there may or may not be videos of us trying to take our shirts off in the third quarter, and Travis is saying, "No, you put it back on. You put it back," because we had it underneath. So we were peeling our layers off because it was like, "Oh, this is game." And then Notre Dame goes on to score like 14 straight, and it was like, okay, we're still fine. Everything's fine." We knew after the first drive, even when Notre Dame scored, right? We were like, it's fine.
They scored in
They had to grind for every yard.
a wreck, and I was like, we're good. It was an 18-play drive. I'm like, if they want to do that, run their quarterback 6 times, like we're good. Did you already spill?
I hope the camera got that.
Hey, grab me the napkins. I got everywhere. Oh, rough start.
All types of issues
It's
with
just
that cup.
no. It's a straw issue. I'll explain to you why. Because of the suction, it's so tight. There's no room for air to get in, so it creates this suction. So even when it's not full, it shoots the stuff to the top. Damn it! All right.
Do you guys just forget? You said 5-week bandwagon. Do you forget about the game in November? Is that you guys just forget about that?
I included that.
No, he's including the Indiana game. So technically, it was a 6-game.
But the Michigan game,
Run
we're just
that-
forgetting about that?
No,
No.
it's fucking on there, Jared.
Yeah, it's documented.
And it's Charlie's fault though that we lost the game. We've come to realize.
Yeah, he wasn't here. He was,
He was in Florida.
yeah, or something like that. You never know. Yeah, never know.
So, Denny, how do you, now that it's done, because the Indiana game was your first foray into college football. What do you make of the sport, the fandom, everything?
Well, I'll be honest with you. When you jump on the bandwagon of the best team, it surely makes it easy and fun. But just to me, the atmosphere was the biggest thing that I noticed. Being so different. If I go to an NFL game, it's a Panthers game, and I'm not a Panthers fan by any means. So, Charlotte fans are suspect at best when it comes to their fandom. But it's so it's like going to a library, compared to going to when I went to the shoe, and it was unbelievable. The crowd was so freaking loud, and so at every play. So it just usually you can get the excitement at the beginning, at the end, but every play, I mentioned Travis hangs his whole life on every play that happens. If it's 1st and 10 and they only get 2 yards, he's losing his mind. He's the offensive coordinator or the stupid play, or just it's so wildly entertaining.
And there's 80,000 Travises in that.
Yes, exactly. Although when we were at these games, everyone behind us was always checking in on Travis's wellness. They were saying, "Is he okay? Is he okay?" Because he would be just in complete disarray.
Yeah, it's 7-7.
To then the guys jumping over the railing. So
The Cotton Bowl was great because the fans were tossing me drinks. It became kind of my section.
the Cotton Bowl was my favorite event I attended, maybe ever. It just, I don't know what it was, but it's just, the whole experience was great.
Are you just deep down, Travis? Are you like the Jets fireman guy, but for Ohio State?
No, I'm not Fireman Ed. I don't dress up. Because there's, Ohio State has a few of those fans, and I actually don't like those, super fans.
He's like, adults shouldn't paint their face. Like, Travis has a very strict opinion on
Yeah.
all this stuff.
I'll give Denny credit. The IU game, Jared, he showed up with Ohio State apparel on. He jumped into this.
What can I say? My iPhone listens to me and it starts feeding me all this gear.
And so we do have a gift, Denny, from Ohio State. You jumped on the swagon and they wanted to extend and make you an official member of the team, and they felt that you earned your Buckeye leave. So we have.
Oh, fantastic. No way.
Yes.
This is
Buckeye
the real deal.
From the Ohio State University.
How about that? Oh man. So
how does this work?
I think I one for each win. Like when I win, I need to put on
A Buckeye leaf
Buckeye.
on a helmet. Yeah.
Ooh, these are authentic. I can tell. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So those, you probably saw us on ESPN
A couple times.
They did me dirty, man.
You were definitely the sad Ohio State fan.
Kudos to the director for showing me, but where was I after when we had the good plays?
I think it's your valleys are so low
They are.
that they, they've got it. It's just like bookwork. You see it happen at every college game or NFL game. Like they show the ecstatic fans and then they show the disappointed fans.
Yeah, it's during the timeouts. Hey, cameraman, go find us.
And
a
the
lunatic
director's like, find me that guy. Find me that guy. Where's he at? Show hands in the face. That's him. That's him.
Stay on it.
Cut to six.
fan. Keep a camera on him.
During the Cotton Bowl, Denny goes, "You were just on TV," and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "You're on TV," and I'm thinking he meant Jumbotron. No. And then
we made that many times, by the way. We're on the big Jumbotron in Texas Stadium. 3 or 4 times. Yeah. It was a lot.
I pulled my phone out and I just showed it to Denny, and it's just a flood of messages and phone calls. The best though, someone texts me or tweet, and they go, "Denny Hamlin just shouted you out on Twitter." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm right next to him."
But the thing is, you're on TV looking miserable, and I don't think there was one moment in this Ohio State run where they were not going to win, right?
Never a doubt, right,
That's the
Trav?
ironic thing.
I text you and Charlie before the Tennessee game. I said, "We win this game, watch out."
Like your profile picture now is you looking.
Yeah, I changed it to that.
Yeah, but the score is 7-6.
Yeah. That's just how I am.
So, those who doesn't, when you saw us on TV, we were holding the Ohio against the world flag.
Mm-hmm.
And what was our crowning moment at the championship game?
Jack Sawyer, they came over and got the flag and gave it to Jack.
They asked for our flag.
Oh, you lost the flag.
We lost.
We didn't lose it.
I mean,
Donated the flag.
We gave it.
Listen, it wasn't like, oh yeah, sure. It was because that was our blankie, as Charles said. We had rode this thing all the way to the Natty, and we get to the end and we win, and this equipment manager comes over, he's like, "Jack really wants the flag," and we're like,
we tried to bargain.
"Yeah," we're like, "Can we can you promise you'll give it back? He says, I can't promise that. At least he was honest. He's
Yeah.
like, I can't
I
promise.
gave Charlie a towel. I asked for the gloves.
So you know what they were doing? You know, these crazy nuts, the next 12 hours, finding all pictures that players took with that flag. And they're like, there's our flag. There's our flag. There. I mean, it was everywhere.
Yeah.
And we even made it in the official Ohio State recap video
yeah.
on Instagram.
That was pretty cool.
And it was my favorite song.
Oh,
I did it my way.
it was perfect.
Oh, it was great.
I got to figure out what to do with my confetti.
He was stuffing his. Yeah, okay. I swear, people, we're going to get to racing here in a second. So the stringers were coming down, and they're gold stringers, and they're falling, and he's grabbing them, and he's just pulling them, and he's just stuffing it in his pockets, right? And then there's confetti, and they were loading the confetti, and they had a box, and it said Notre Dame, and I had a box that said Ohio State. And you know, me and Charlie are like, load it up, load the Ohio State. And then so they spray it, but there's like a foot of confetti on the ground right in front of us because we're right there in row one. And Travis is yelling at the guy, give me some confetti, give me some confetti. And the guy like picks up a handful and throws it to him. He's like, don't throw it, you idiot. He's like, hand it to me.
Yeah, they finally did. Denny's like, just give him the box.
Yeah, and so I told him, just give him the box. But he was stuffing, the guy had pockets full of confetti, and I just don't know what he did with it, though.
So it's right now, it's sitting in my living room. There's still confetti in my car. Did I tell you I met Will Howard that morning?
Oh, I saw the picture.
So I'm with
You
a couple of my friends, and
you look like you hadn't slept.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
it was like 3 a.m, and I saw him over there, and I go, I'm going to go talk to Will. And my friend's like, don't talk to Will. And I'm like, I'm going to talk to Will. And they're like, don't talk to Will. And I'm like, I'm going over there.
You know, that's your second encounter with Will Howard.
Yes.
He doesn't remember the first because
I'm surprised he remembers the
I
second.
was carrying him out of Mandrake. Literally all right, Travis, it's bedtime. I'm carrying him out, and all the players had made their way to Mandrake, and we're trying to get through them. Ain't nobody moving, and we're like a foot shorter than all of them. So,
And you got your championship. To all the people tweeting at me saying that Ohio State's not going to win because Denny can't win a championship, we got it.
we got it. All right. Well, how about some race cars? Sure, all of our listeners enjoyed all that. Yeah, so we had some racing this weekend. If you can see right here in front of us, we have a nice Lionel diecast of my car from this weekend.
Oh, that's what that's from?
What?
You actually know that?
Well, he drove the sport clip is what he's saying, Jared.
Oh, okay. Well, I was in here inspecting this diecast for 5 minutes because it's marked up, but there's no confetti on it. So it's clearly a race version of a car, but there's no confetti on it. So you couldn't have possibly won. So I'm trying to figure
Maybe I
out what
was
diecast
being
it was.
facetious, or I don't know. Is that the right word for it? I'm just saying that's the paint scheme, the sponsor,
it.
the car.
I
that
get it.
drove
But
the
it could have been because it's marked up and it's a race version and you didn't
Yes.
win and there's marks all over.
They went and printed it last night, Jared.
I feel like that could be a Clash win from last year.
Oh, maybe. There's no.
I'm looking because
You wouldn't have had confetti on it. There's no victory lane.
right, and I'm looking at the tires. You know, they got the Goodyear rubbed off of them, and usually that only happens on a short track. So
That makes sense.
yeah,
It's the Clash car.
huh?
It's the Clash car.
The Clash car. Yep. Yeah. So this weekend, exciting weekend. I thought my overall feelings is that it was a great overall executed weekend by NASCAR at Bowman Gray, and I thought that they did a really good job of taking, a facility that probably needed some love to make it up to Cup standards, and I thought the on track. When you walked into it, now, the garages were, what the garages were. It was, a parking lot, which that's not what you see on TV. So that's not what matters, right? It matters what you see on TV. I thought the facility itself, when you stepped into it, felt like a Cup track.
Yeah, and the environment felt like a big Cup race.
Yeah.
I think that, to me, that was the biggest takeaway, is that the environment that Bowman Gray produced, the fans being so close to the drivers, it just felt like a big event.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that, NASCAR Productions or whoever, kind of puts on, the lights, music, introduction, all that stuff. I thought they did a really, really good job of, giving you that, big main event type of feel before the race, and then kind of parading us around the racetrack before, allowed all the fans to, cheer you on as you're going by. So it was fun.
Was it everything you expected? Did you have preparations going in? Like, what were your thoughts?
Honestly, it exceeded my expectations from the production standpoint, and it exceeded my expectations from the on-track standpoint. I think a lot of it comes from, again, we talk about them a lot, and we give them a lot of shit, but like the Goodyear tires. I think that we finally got a really good short track tire here that creates the ability to pass after they start to wear. So it's a signal that to create more passing in our series, let's get wear, right? It's not just heat that we got to, get in the tire. We got to get the thing to wear. And this tire that they developed has that started with Martinsville, being the first full race on it. It was an option tire at Richmond. It will be the option tire when we go to Phoenix. So I think this is it's a good tire, and it's certainly helping short track racing with the next gen car.
Did that play into the ability to pass on the outside? That was a big takeaway, that you were able to pass for the lead on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of do what works or what makes. Well, I always try to manipulate my car the best I can. The cars are never going to be like perfect. I mean, they could be close to it, and you can be better than everyone else. And I thought at that time my car was. But what I love about race car driving is the job of the driver to manipulate the car to do something that it's not designed to do. Taking different lines. That's what I love about Darlington, is that it's one of the racetracks where I feel like, depending on what my car's doing, I will change my line to change the balance. And so, a lot of the short tracks that I used to do back in the day, it was in low horsepower cars, and it was in tires that, wore out. And so I had to protect the tires, and I had to try to figure out how to get runs and, make straightaways longer. And so just kind of using that and I know they talked on the broadcast, about the aerodynamics and whatnot. And I know it's certainly not a popular thing. Fans don't want to hear about it and whatnot, but it is a thing. I mean, we definitely saw, you get stuck behind somebody for just a small period of time, call it 5-10 laps, you can just feel your car losing grip. And which is why I thought, Kevin Harvick was doing a really good job of explaining, like, you can only sit back there behind someone for so long, and then your car's going to hit a light switch, and it's just going to start slowing down. And I thought that was kind of one of the pivotal things that happened to me once I lost the lead. When Chase got around me, is that I spent 5 laps really trying to get it back. I should have, in hindsight, I was like, I should have just kind of moved him out of the way, like he moved me out of the way. But I was like, I don't know. I just thought, it's all right. I'm good enough. I'm good enough to get him the natural way, but I wasn't. And then once I sat back there, I lost the grip in the car, and those guys just pulled away.
If it was a points race, would you have operated differently?
I don't think so. I mean, I think if there's any time to be aggressive, it's Bowman Gray, and you actually heard Chase in his post race was like, yeah, I was behind Denny, and I knocked him out of the way, and I knew that was I needed to get back control of the race, and if he chose to knock me back out of the way, then I was going to have to live with that. But I just had to take my shot then, and I was like, I went into the next corner. I'm like, it's so cliche to just run back into them. I'm not going to do that. And so I didn't. And so I was like, I'm just going to work them. I'm going to work them for a little while. And I just didn't have it.
I overheard him say in Victory Lane, he was asked about the tires, and he said he wasn't necessarily sure how much he should be saving throughout the race. Does that just come with the fact that none of you guys have raced 200 laps at Bowman Gray? Like, you don't know what each lap is going to do after a while?
Yeah, the car changes, certainly. It seems like, again, to beat a dead horse, with this tire in particular, you get past about 25, 30 laps of green flag running on it, and you really start to see lap time drop off. And that, what was it, about a 50 lap run at the end ish, something like that. We dropped off about 0.8 of a second, which is pretty good on a track like that. You always wish you had more, but overall, that's pretty much all you could ask for. If you looked at the two fastest cars at the end, the 9 and the 12, I mean, they were able to pass lap cars. And again, they were letting them go because it was an important time of the race. But they still, the 12 made its way from the back to the front methodically and because he had a good car and was able to pass.
Yeah, Ryan Blaney went from the back to the front. Bubba Wallace made a lot of good moves to get up to the front. He started mid-pack. Is there anything to be said about drivers with new crew chiefs having success in this race and it, transpiring or continuing into the regular season?
Well, it's a good warm-up. I mean, I equated this to a preseason game. It's bigger than a preseason game. If you look at it from an audience standpoint, we usually, pull a good number. It's bigger than a preseason, but it is a preseason for us in the sense of we just get reps, right? I would say probably half the field got a new seat insert this weekend. So what's happening is the teams are, all right, how's your interior car? What do we need to adjust? Before Daytona, can you reach all the switches? Do you need some adjustments here or there? And then they're working on their communication. And so I'm going through that now. I've got a new crew chief this year with Chris Gale. And so, it's a good warm up for us. Even though, you would argue the practice time we actually got probably is much or more than we get on a normal weekend. It still felt like an abbreviated weekend. And so, not a lot of adjustments you can do to the car. You basically practice a few laps, you pull in, they jack it up, twist a few things here and there, and you go back out. So your bed's pretty much made before you get to the racetrack on your major setup things. And so, the communication, I can only speak to ours, but it was good. Chris is a quiet guy. And I'm a quiet guy, but I think we were pretty straightforward in his questions that he asked and the feedback that I gave. So obviously it's a good start. I told him after the heat race that I was like, man, I think you might be the fourth crew chief in a row now that I've won my first race with. You can count them however you might want to count them through clashes or heat races or Daytona 500s or whatever. But early in the season, win with the new guys.
But is that communication also tested before you get to the track, like whatever sessions you do in the sim, then leading into the track or leading into the race? So it's all about how you unload and how Chris brings the car to the racetrack.
So much of it happens during the week. These guys, once they load up and head to the racetrack, your major setup things, you're locked into. You can move some things around, certainly, but it's not an open, there's some weekends where we have, we're not locked in to our setup and we can change everything overnight. But most weekends, your baseline setup is pretty much set, and you can adjust slightly from there. So, the work you put in during the week, that kind of sets the tone for your weekend.
How long do you think it takes for you guys to build that relationship where you feel like, okay, we're locked in and ready to go, and I understand him, and like Gaypart would probably be able to read the tone of your voice and know what you're thinking. It's going to take time. Like, what's that timeline like?
I think it's going to be different for everyone, and I still am going to need to figure out what makes Chris Gale tick, right? And, I kind of knew, the hot buttons for Gabehart, like he would prompt me with questions. It would prompt an answer. And then so the next time that comes back around, I go ahead and give him the answer because I know the question's coming. So that's the thing that I got to figure out is what is Gale looking for out of my information. So we'll have to figure that out. And certainly, again, it's like we ease into the season. So like the NASCAR schedule really promotes easing into those communication things. Like you're not, we've got, a month until we're at a racetrack where, okay, we're going to practice. We can make adjustments. You got a long race like Daytona setup. Yes, it matters, but it doesn't matter like it does on other racetracks. So we still got another warm up week coming with the Daytona 500.
Are there any parts of this relationship where you can tell already, like, okay, we're going to be good at this, but we maybe need to work on this? Like, is there different elements of the relationship of the driver crew chief dynamic that you can already tell, like, this is going to be good?
Not yet. Not yet. Again, it's still just kind of too new. Again, you get used to a certain kind of way, and I think that my philosophy when Gabehart came in was, let him be the leader. I'm going to be the driver. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to do what I'm told. And, I'm going to make sure I give them 110% every time I'm in the car, when I'm out of the car, give them everything they need. I always want to go to the racetrack prepared, mentally, physically, whatever it might be. And so that is certainly an important part of it. But overall, I just got to figure out, how it's going to go, for the 11 car. And certainly I'm optimistic about it and feel as that, we've got some good things ahead. But, Chris has got a different role, and he's going to be there. And we debriefed after the race as well, talking about Gabehart. We, talked about it, and it was like, man, this thing was an awful lot like Martinsville. So whatever we fix, for Martinsville, it'll work here as well. So, all good things. Everyone's getting better, and we got some new team members there with Chase Briscoe. So, there's a lot of new crew chiefs. I forget the number, but it's a big number, right, that are coming in this year?
Yeah.
Moving around?
I'm just thinking about Bob's article that he posted last week. I think he ranked the top 10, and then there were like 6 or 7 honorable mentions. So
yeah,
half the field.
Yeah, I mean, at 2311, we're most excited about Charles Denike. I didn't, when he came in for his interview, we had eye contact, and he's like, "Do you remember me?" I was like, "Man, you look familiar." He's like, "Yeah. Our team's gotten in a fight a couple times in late models. I was the crew chief for Brandon Butler, which is a guy I used to race late models against." I was like, "That's where I know you. That's where I know you." But I was singing his praises all weekend. But we believe we found a rock star, and Charles. I'm glad we found him. Dave Rogers did a great job, recruiting him, and from the truck series, he was with the 19 truck. And so I think he's going to be a game changer for 2311 and Bubba Wallace. I think that those two could really do something special this year.
So he's someone that you do not really have much of a prior relationship with. You've crossed paths in the past.
But that's it. He's coming in fresh. He was with a Chevy team, truck team, going to now a Toyota Cup team. So, literally it couldn't be a bigger transition for him. But I mean, from what I've seen and what I've heard, he's doing a fantastic job. And we got Davin there with Riley, excited about what he brings to our team. I think Riley's going to run a lot better than people are expecting. I think it's still going to be tough. It's tough on Sundays. There's going to be a transition there, but I'm pretty excited about what those two other teams other than the 45 have got this year.
Yeah, I think that's why I ask about the confidence that running well in this race could bring to that driver-crew chief relationship, because it seemed like on social, Bubba was really excited about a P5 finish. He was excited about a top 5.
Yeah, he's been locked in all offseason. I call it fatherhood, call it whatever you want to call it, but he's been locked in all offseason. And I think he understands that, Charles is someone that's going to, command respect, and he's going to want to have his process, and he wanted to make sure that relationship got off on the right foot, and he's been doing his part.
Where do we go with the Clash from here? We come back to Bowman Gray next year, keep moving it?
I think you probably got to keep moving it. Again, I think that's what kind of, I think people tuned into Bowman Gray because it's a track they had not seen before. I think they tuned into LA the first year so much because it's a track they had not seen before. Like, how are these guys going to navigate it? How are they going to adapt to it? I think if you go back in consecutive years, I think there's a little bit of there's not a wow or a shock factor. Now the racing could be better. We could end up with a great side-by-side finish. You never know, but I just think there's not fatigue, but there's a known to it versus the unknown that you have when you go to somewhere new for the first time.
What if, though, fans see what this was this year, so we're going to return for one more year, and then we're going to go, but so then next year there's anticipation of what we saw, and it could be a little better, and do 2 years and then leave. And then other people saw what this was, maybe go there. You can grow off of this, because if you go to a new location, are you going to be able to carry fans over?
Fans watching or fans at the track?
Fans watching and going.
Yeah, I think fans watching, it doesn't, you can put them wherever. Okay. You can put them in Portland, Oregon. They're going to watch because it's, hey, we've never seen Cup cars there. Let's see how it turns out, right? And so that's my point, is that, people tune in to see the unknown. Once they know it and see it, if you just keep feeding them more of it, eventually they'll get tired of it. So it's just that's the ebbs and flows of sports.
I wonder if you could eventually next year make North Wilkesboro a points race in some capacity, and then move Bowman Gray to the All-Star race. I'd hate to see the sport lose the atmosphere that Bowman Gray brought, and I feel like it could probably only be heightened in year 2.
How are you going to heighten that? It was sold out. How do you heighten the atmosphere?
Per Travis, who watched on TV, it didn't sound like you could really sense that watching on TV. Like the viewership, maybe not of.
I think that's more of a Nat sound.
Right.
That was the comments I saw. We're always one to critique TV and all that stuff, but. Yeah, I what I've seen on social is that they didn't pipe in the crowd sound. So they were telling you how loud the crowd was, but you couldn't actually hear them when there was, a lead change. And you hear it, sometimes I've noticed some races, they do that when there's if you remember, everyone's seen a million, Dale Earnhardt takes the lead at Talladega. It's like, the crowd didn't overcome the car noise. They just had a microphone somewhere near the crowd, and they turned it on.
You couldn't. So, when Ricky spun out Burt Myers, you couldn't tell. Apparently, fans cheered when you got past. Shocker! You couldn't tell.
Yeah.
But that's more of a broadcast thing than. I don't know how Bowman Gray does it bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think overall, TV did a good job. The convenient thing about driving is I was able to then watch it right back on my way home. I thought everything was good, except for I have one major beef with Fox. Major beef. You know what it is?
No.
I was so excited to go to the production day this year, because I'm like, you know what? I'm finally going to lose the buzz cut. Because whatever you look like on January 15th is what you look like for the entire year, right? And so when I had that little clipper mishap last year, I had to live with a buzz cut the entire year.
Did they use a buzz cut in the production?
They haven't changed it. They haven't changed it. Give me my hair back, Fox. I got new photos. I got a Sport Clips car. Got to show it off and hurry up before it gets gray. So yeah, I need my updated. Jacob Ullman, I saw you before the race. Get my hair back. I got it back. It took a year to get it back, but I got it. No, but it was fun. Fun weekend. I mean, I see notes here about, well, what about this? What about that? I mean, you had Hocevar and Bell. That was kind of the 22 kind of came, into Bell, and it looked when I originally saw that incident, I was like, oh, Bell, yikes, he really got him. But it looked like Hocevar knew it was coming, so he actually slowed down entering the corner, like to try to keep his car on the bottom, and it just caused a chain reaction because within the 20. He checked up early. He was like, whoa, he's slow. And then the 22's like, whoa, that's not where you let off entering the corner. So, I think it was just kind of a domino effect there that made it look pretty bad.
Were you guys more respectful this year? It seemed like that.
The main event was like this last year.
I know. I just feel like there was more complaining about cars wrecking each other.
It's always that way in heat races and last chance races because it's go or go home. I mentioned it on the radio before the race started is that, why would you wreck for 8th place? I mean, we still did, but why would you wreck for 8th place in the main? Like, there's no, hey, I got to get to 5th or else I'm not racing. Right? You're already in the main. You're just at that point trying to methodically make your way up. Sometimes not methodically. You're like, I can get one here, bounce him out of the way. But in the LCQ and the heat races, there's the do or die feel that I've got to get to this position or else I'm in a dire situation. So I think that it's typically the main does calm down simply from the fact of you've made the show and then now you're trying to figure out how to get it to lap 200. So it's just a different mentality.
You watched it, LCQ from the stands?
Yeah, I went up on the hill right there in turn 3, right above the Sunoco banner.
There were some fireworks.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was super aggressive early. Like when you had Ty Dillon up there and whatnot, and Eric Jones, they were going at it, and it was super messy early. I thought Larson did a great job holding the bottom. He had some really good fortune of when cars would bounce themselves up out of the group, like he'd pass a couple, and he made it up through there, and I thought he had the best car and won the LCQ. He did win the LCQ, right?
Yeah.
And I was surprised he didn't run better in the main. I thought when I looked at his car in that race, I just thought, generally speaking, there wasn't anyone really close to him on speed, and so I'm like, well, he's got enough laps, he'll be able to do something in the main, but it's just, I don't know. I saw him spun out a couple times.
Too much damage to his car, maybe?
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. I mean, his car was destroyed and still had the speed at the end of the LCQ. So, I mean, while aero matters, it's still when you're out front, you still have a bigger advantage with a destroyed car than you do being a second car without damage. So it's just, surprising to see he didn't make more headway.
Shane van Gisbergen finished 9th.
I thought he had a good weekend. I thought he did. He solid all around. You didn't hear much from him. That's a good thing, right? And he went to a tight oval, something that he's probably not completely used to. However, I think about, this is probably a good transition track for him. And he's run ovals, right? He's got some oval experience now. But as far as like understanding how to make short speed on short tracks, I can see where there's been many corners he's probably approached in supercars that have been like Bowman Gray corners. Tight, how do you handle this tight radius corner? You got a couple ways to do it, right? You can do the higher entry like I was doing and the other guys were doing. Do you chop it? Do you diamond it? Do you straight roll the bottom? There's many ways to approach it, and depending on what your car is doing. And I think that, this probably fits into Shane's wheelhouse of, it's a corner, it's a tight corner, it's a hairpin. How do I get around it the best way? And I think that, this is typically a track I think he would shine at.
Right.
And he did.
Once you start, I don't know, getting into the corner, it all comes back to you as far as how to get around it.
Yeah. and he's learning, right? It's going to take some time, and you're definitely going to have to temper your expectations on mile and a halves and things like that. It just will take some time to get fully up to speed.
What do you make of Ty Gibbs?
Yeah, I didn't love it. Obviously, it seemed like he had a good attitude after the race. I was a little worried about, we were sharing haulers, so after his race was over, he had to unchange. I had to change. And it was like, you know what? I'm going to give him a minute in there by himself. But he was fine. Yeah, it's just some of the things that it's so hard to be mentally tough in the moments that you get bounced around and you feel like, you get shoved around here and there, and then you feel like, well, I got to show I'm not going to take it, so I'm going to do something back. And then it's almost like the NFL where the personal foul, it's someone shoves you, next thing you know, you push them in the face and you get the flag, right? It's maybe find a different way to get back at them. Certainly, didn't love it, didn't look great. Hey, it just happened to be really weird how the tires rolled over each other, which made his car launch there. But it looked worse than it actually was. I was right there when it happened. He didn't have a whole lot of speed. I think it's just the tires rolled right over each other and it caused the launch. But still, it's something that NASCAR isn't going to love or anything like that. But again, it's just he's expecting to take that next step and be a race winner and a playoff guy. And, these moments, it's really hard to not let things get to you. And he's still a really young guy and he's trying to find his way, and, he'll figure it out.
Do you talk to him? Like, what's the dynamic? Like, because you're teammates, but you're not really, like, it's not like on a football team where, like, if you're the veteran, you take him aside or something. Like, do you talk to him at all?
I do, yeah. We talk, again, we shared a hauler this weekend, so we had a lot of dialogue on our cars and things like that. And, it was actually, was it his heat? Yeah, I think it was before his heat. And I just said, he was leaving the hauler, and I said, all right, don't lose your shit. And he's like, what do you mean? Yeah, the car or my head? I said, your head. Like, just you're trying to warn that you're gonna get bounced around, right? You can't let that just lock your brain up and say, all right, I'm out to get blood at this moment, right? That is the racetrack, right? And certainly he didn't deserve to get spun or anything. He got spun out a few times that was undeserving, and so it's hard not to feel like you were done wrong there. And I think he would have been fine with just kind of getting bumped, but I think he got wiped out a few times where he shouldn't have, and it's hard to let that go. Yeah, even me, it'd be hard to let that go.
I mean, in a way, that's the challenge that NASCAR is creating for you drivers, right? Or we're going to take you to a track where it's going to be very easy for you to lose your head.
Yep.
How do they deal with that?
That's right. That's what they want. They want to put us to that decision, no doubt.
I'm just curious with this track. I'm watching a few replays here, and there's a different strip of asphalt on the inside between the track and the grass that has like those bumps on it.
That would be concrete.
It's all hard stuff. that you,
Gotcha.
you drive on. Anyway, does that have more grip? Like, were you trying to put tires on that?
It had more but less.
Come again?
I know. More but less. So it was, I don't know. Let's just say it's 10 inches. About 5 inches in the middle was these bumps, right? So if you could somehow get your tire just kind of on the top 4 inches, or, I guess the math doesn't add up there, about the top 2.5 inches to where you're not over the bumps, but you're on the concrete. Yeah, it did. Or maybe you could get on the other side of it, be on the inside of the bumps. But it's actually pretty cool because it is an option to use, but it is not an advantage. So it's very unique in that sense that you could run on it and you could run very similar lap times with it. Maybe you just want to be a little lower than the person in front of you, but it didn't give you the, okay, this is concrete and it's got more grip. It wasn't like that. Didn't feel that way. Just because, your car is skipping over these bumps, so it's constantly losing contact.
Right, but what if you don't touch the bumps? What if you're like right above the bump?
That's what I'm saying, but it's such a small strip. Again, it's only about 2.5 inches inward of actual flat concrete before you get to the bump. So there's again, trying to hit that 2.5 inches all the way around the corners, extremely difficult and not optimal.
Got it.
Yeah.
Watching the race, I was wondering if you were trying to hit that or not, or use that.
I tried. I was all, I went from running lefts right near the grass to running a car width and a half high, just trying to get my car to do something that it wasn't doing well at the time. So I was just trying to change stuff up. But anyway, we did have a winner.
Chase Elliott. First time that Napa car has been to victory lane in at least 2 years.
Really?
Yeah. Last year,
What
he
did
won
he win
in
in last year?
The Hooters car.
Yeah. I thought it was just kind of a complete weekend for Chase. He was fast in practice. He obviously was fast in qualifying. P1. And he won the race. You would think open and shut case. He led 171 laps, the most in Clash history. Pretty straightforward. I thought at the end of the first stage, when we got around him, I was watching his car, and I said, okay, he's vulnerable at this point of the track, so I'm going to attack that. And so they just did a really good job with adjustments, truthfully. Because where I thought he was weak in the first half, they definitely seemed to have improved it in the second. And he mentioned that they made some really good adjustments. And I was optimistic that once we got to lead, it's like, man, we got such an advantage here. And I mentioned that I made a mistake. I was doing some things with my brakes under caution. I didn't get it back I didn't get it back. Still didn't. I got knocked out of the way, but I let the competition get too close by messing up some adjustments on my end. And but I thought that when they made those adjustments second half, they took off, and Chase he drove masterfully through traffic. Held Blaney off really well, made sure he held his line and kept Blaney in dirty air at all times, and he adapted his line when he needed to. So I think it's certainly a great start to the season for them.
What did you say to him when he was driving to victory lane and you were standing there doing some media?
Yeah, it's just great job. Yeah, it's just a congratulations and great job. I wasn't upset about anything happened on track. I think that's part of it. And you got to just, if you're leading by quarter car length, prepare for contact in the middle or on corner entry. That's what you're going to have. And the people behind you are not going to be patient knowing that they can't sit behind you but for so long. So I thought it was all fair game. And, yeah, it was solid weekend for that 9 team.
Super Bowl next week. Got any predictions? Anybody you're betting on?
I'm gonna have to look to see kind of where the public's at on this thing. But I rarely bet on the Chiefs, but there was nothing better in my life than betting on them over the last couple weeks and seeing that the best game quarterback was carrying around my money. Like it was like, oh yeah, we tie game 2 minutes ago. Cash this ticket. And he's gonna go down. And I heard an interesting stat. Trey Wingo said it. You see so much sports on your feed. I'm sure you probably saw it. But in game time, in clutch game situations, right? You've got to go down and score to either take the lead or tie the lead. Some of the best quarterbacks in history accomplish this at about a 45% rate. Like, they've got the ball, go down, score to win the game, or score to tie the game and force overtime. Some of the best, like Drew Brees, was like 4 for 8 or something like that. He was one of the best, whatever. Peyton Manning, others were like 3 for 7. Patrick Mahomes is 7 for 7. 7 for 7. And so I'm like, why would I put my money in someone else's hands? I'm going to put it in the guy that if Vegas is calling it a tight game, they say it's going to be close. I'll take the guy that's 7 for 7 on game-winning drives. And that's probably what I'll do again. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I am not on that bandwagon. My great friend, Greg Fernelli. What?
Dude, so before the High State game, I was like, supporting the Chiefs a little bit because he was supporting Ohio State. But after his lack of support during the national championship game, I feel like I don't need to support the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
You hear that, Greg Fernelli? We invited him to the national championship, and the guy was in the concourse 60%.
He's talking about his knee hurt and he can't play pickleball. Well, yeah, because you fucking walked the concourse for a national championship game for 60 minutes.
Greg, where you at? Oh, I had to go. Anybody knows Greg? Oh, I had to go meet Cara and her boyfriend. Then I had to go. Oh, I met Sacco, and I'm like, dude, there's a game going on. I mean, there's a game going on. We got front row tickets.
He missed. I think he missed the pass to Jeremiah Smith to seal the game. He comes down. What happened?
No, remember he said he saw it from the pisser.
Yeah.
He was like, oh yeah, I saw it. I was taking a leak. I was like, come on, Greg.
Just not built like you, Travis.
No, Travis knows how to time his bathroom breaks.
I think in 2 games I took like 2 bathroom breaks during the game. Like you gotta.
He'll stop drinking. He'll stop drinking you'll drink some, but you'll know your limit.
Yeah.
So that way you never, ever have to take a bathroom break during a live play.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have seen him when we were at the Indiana game. We were in a suite. We went up there for halftime to meet a couple people. And like the second half was like getting ready to kick off. And you could see Travis was kind of getting nervous, right? Because he just doesn't miss a play. He's like, I'm going to head back down to the seats. And literally as me and Charlie are walking down the concourse, I hear the crowd and I'm like, uh-oh. So I think he's taking it to the house. And we looked at the TV. There's Caleb Downs taking it all the way. But Travis made it back to his seat on time. Just will not miss a play. And Greg Fernelli, on the other hand, yikes.
Jared, how was your off season? Do anything?
Yeah. What about you?
People want
to hear about you.
I went snowboarding a bunch. Moral of the story of that is that I didn't hurt myself. Other people around me got hurt often, but I didn't hurt myself. That's kind of it. Yeah, went home. Ironically, all these places that I went snowboarding were all NASCAR tracks in the winter. So I saw more NASCAR tracks in the winter than I'd ever seen before in my life. New Hampshire had snow on it. Pocono had snow on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
You traveled.
I traveled a bit.
Well, I got something upstairs for you that might be fun for your traveling.
Okay.
And
I forgot you texted me right after Christmas. It said When you gonna be back? I got something I gotta
Got
give
something
you.
for you, yeah.
And Denny, you had some exciting news in the off season. How's home front?
I did. I can't say, right? She'll get
No.
mad at me.
Not yet.
Yeah, I can't say.
We're working on social videos,
Okay.
Jordan and I. So you can't say yet.
Okay. Well, yeah, I got another one coming. I'm 3 for 3. Another baby. We are really, really excited. Due June 1st-ish. So right around Charlotte weekend. Hopefully if we can get that thing popped out somewhere around then, that'd be great.
So it's always the question in sports is, will the athlete be there? Will you be there if she goes into labor on Sunday?
Yeah, of course. There's a new rule though, right?
There is. You can miss a race for a birth
And not lose your playoff
and
points.
not lose your playoff points or have to get a waiver. Correct.
Yeah, I'm gonna need the cliff notes on all the new rule stuff, and we'll go over that next week. But yeah, that's good news. Yeah, I mean, it seems like nowadays though that they can pretty much time whenever it happens. Yeah, like they can make it come out whenever.
I mean, yeah, you can prep 9 months ahead of time.
Yeah,
That too.
Was Taylor or Molly born on a weekend?
I don't remember. I'm not sure.
How
I remember I had a golf guys event the day after.
Oh, you can't miss that. There's no waivers for the golf guys event.
Oh no, I made it. I played.
how are Taylor and Molly handling?
I mean, what could I do?
I guess I don't know.
I mean, once the baby's had, it's like, I can be your comfort companion, be there to feed you applesauce or something. But no, she was great. Listen, she's great. She's very, very accommodating. Now listen, I'm not the only one, folks. There's been others in the NASCAR community that's in my golf league that had a child and then took a break for 4 hours, played in the event, came back to the hospital. So, yeah, we have some understanding women in our lives, great supporters. That's a tough job in itself for us NASCAR drivers.
How's Taylor and Molly handling? They excited?
They are. Taylor is most excited that Molly will no longer be the youngest and be the baby of the family. She's like, ha ha, you're not going to be the baby anymore. So Taylor's excited about that. And then Molly's excited to have, a younger that she can take care of. What was very interesting is on Molly's Christmas list this year, number 1 on her Christmas list was a baby sister.
Guess we can't say if she's going to get that or not just yet.
Not yet.
So gender reveals come is what it sounds like.
Yeah, we did it over Christmas. It was fun because we had someone wrap some Jordans as a Christmas gift. It was the last gift we opened, and then what color are the shoes?
Nice.
Yep. So excited for that. And when are we doing that, Jared? When are y'all doing that?
Is Jordan here? I'll go talk to her right after this.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we'll let you know soon enough. But
Did you remodel your office yet?
gonna.
After Molly,
I moved my office. I'm in 2311 now.
okay.
We finally got that done, which is exciting. I love my office at 2311. There's many days I like to just go there and get out of this house because there's so many women in this house. There's 5 to 6 on a daily basis between my sister, you got housekeeper, you got Jordan, 2 girls. Like, it just never stops. It's just girl after girl after girl after girl after girl. I need some space at times. So, so we're there. But then, so Jordan had her office moved to what was the baby's room. And now we got to change that back over to a baby's room again because it's closest to our room.
I guess one thing, Travis, about my offseason, I did keep red vest number 311. People are asking
I saw
me.
that.
People are asking
Good to
me
know.
what my vest number is. It is still 311. That thing went into my backpack on November 7th or whatever day Phoenix ended, and that's where it's been since. And it just came out.
It looked rather wrinkled, like
Yeah.
you had just balled it up and put it in there.
I felt bad because everyone else, you're supposed to turn them back in after the season, and then they give you new ones.
You just said
So everyone else got reissued new vests, and they're, bright red, and the white's clean, and then mine's still filthy.
I think that's you. Though. That's
Character.
what granolas do.
Right.
You guys don't shower. You don't. You just.
If they do, it's organic soap.
All right. Well, appreciate you guys. Next week we will be here next Monday.
We'll do deep dive on the season.
Yeah, we're gonna do some deep dive on off-season news, expectations for a bunch of drivers. What are our expectations for this year? We got a lot to talk about. I think next week there's a lot to dive into for sure. So, and we'll preview the Daytona 500 coming up. So, you guys have a great week. Appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you next one.
Got a review here from Badger. Last season was my first.
You're gonna have to split. You're gonna have to flip that.
We can leave it in.
Oh, okay.
Review here from Badger. Last season was my first following NASCAR, and Actions Detrimental has been the perfect companion to the race each week. Denny brings experience, humble, level-headed insight every week, and his crew are the perfect complement. Thank you for a great season worth of episodes, and cheers to another great season.
All right. Appreciate it, Badger. Thanks for the review. Make sure you guys leave us a review on wherever you get your podcast.
Yep.
Right?
And a reminder, full YouTube video goes up on
Yes.
Mondays also.
Yeah,
So check
yeah,
it out.
check
Hit the
us out on
subscribe
YouTube.
button.
Yeah. You're going to want to see us in the flesh. And the fact that I just destroyed my coffee within the first 30 seconds of airing the show. So appreciate you guys tuning in. See you next week.